Have you ever engaged in a serious debate over which is better, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings? Have you ever played Smash or Pass using only characters from Star Wars and Marvel movies? If you answered yes to any of these questions, we have the podcast for you. Listen to The Steam Gentlemen, the podcast where an expert panel convenes to ask the questions about pop culture and social commentary that other podcasts are afraid to ask. Listen to The Steam Gentlemen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Fans International Association is back. That's right, the premier fan club association of the 1970s and 1980s has been revived and is back in business. Join today. It's free at thewfia.org. That's thewfia.org. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/WFIA 1969. Welcome back, everybody, to the Real World Chronicles by Fleisch. I am your host, Brad Drake, and this is Extreme. That's right, it's ECW Wrestling, everybody. And since the last video, this save has gone on quite a bit, and we're all the way into December 1998. So this is just going to be an update video to go over what has been taking place for about the last 6 months or so since our last video. I'm treating this save a lot like the others that I've had where I'm playing it and I'm just going to record it when I record it. It's not necessarily going to go in sequential order. The WWF one will continue that way, but not this one. All right, first things first, let's take a look at our titles. Shane Douglas is still the heavyweight champion of the world here. He's got himself a 13-month title reign going here. And it's pretty impressive stuff. The World Tag Team title is held by Doug Furnas and Phil LaFon. They captured the title in October, and then I accidentally had a title change again in November with the Pitbulls, which, you know, was not out of common for ECW to have real short title reigns. So it was an error, but I left it and then put the title back on Furnas and LaFon. And of course, Rob Van Dam is still our world television champion. He's coming up on 1 year in January of being the champion. Here's another cool thing. I am introducing a world junior heavyweight title. And that's going to take place in the game here. We're going to have a tournament here in January. And that is going to crown the first world junior heavyweight champion. All right, speaking of the schedule, I got things nice and neat and organized now, and I'm trying to be as realistic as possible, and I think it's cool what we got going here, and I'm going to show you how that works. So, the ECW would have a non-pay-per-view big event at the ECW arena at least once a month, right? So that's the one that we're running the first week. And so here it is. So it's the first week of December. We're running Holiday Hell. This one is at ECW Arena. Now, there are a couple of these that are going to run at the Hammerstein Ballroom, but this one is going to run at the ECW Arena, as most of them are. For example, November, we had One Last Stand the first week of November. Then you had the pay-per-view November to Remember. So we have Holiday Hell running, and then in a couple weeks, we're going to have December to Dismember. All right? Now, to try to maximize profit here, to quote Quark from Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, that is, maximizing profit is very important to the Ferengi. We have the ticket pricing at a premium. All right, so we're going to cash in on these shows. All right, we are still running the same touring schedule where each week we're running 3 shows and we are hitting every region in the continental United States, and we are also hitting 3 regions in Canada. All right, so we go from, I think it's Ontario, Manitoba, to then in Alberta. So that is the schedule. It's going real well. And again, you have the first week is the ECW or Hammerstein Ballroom show. The third week is the big pay-per-view. All right, so what's been going on here? There's a lot that has gone on. We brought in Tully Blanchard. Tully Blanchard had a several-month feud with Shane Douglas, challenging him for the World Heavyweight title. Douglas wins the big match at November to Remember, and it's over. Tully Blanchard is gone. He's out of the promotion. Now, we have brought in 50-year-old Bill Eadie, also known as the Mass Superstar. We are going to be doing the exact same thing with Mass Superstar here with Shane Douglas. We are going to build up Mass Superstar. We're going to have a couple big matches, and then Mass Superstar is going to leave the promotion. I don't know how long I'm going to continue on with this formula. I'll probably switch over to some other guys to challenge Douglas for the title, but Douglas is not losing that title anytime soon because he is the best qualified and the best wrestler we have. And anybody that was a fan back in this era knows how good Douglas was in ECW. So there's absolutely zero reason to take the title off of him. We lost Eric Gargulio, I think was his name, who was doing our interviews, backstage interviews and stuff like that. We lost him. WCW signed him and took him away from us. So we signed Joel Goodhart. And Joel Goodhart has taken over that role. For those of you that are wrestling fans from back in the 90s, even into the late 80s, Joel Goodhart ran a bunch of super shows for independents. And he also had a promotion, I think, and I forget what the name of it is. It's how Todd Gordon first got involved with wrestling was with Joel Goodhart. Joel Goodhart pretty much lost his ass promoting, stopped promoting, but he's in this mod, which is really cool. So we signed him and brought him in, and he's doing the backstage interviews. All right, who else? Who else have we brought in here? We have signed a very young Steve Corino. Steve Corino is still running his own promotion, NWA 2000, and that's cool, no problem. For those of you that remember, he didn't really become a noticeable thing in ECW until about 2000. So we have him mostly working tag matches with Jack Victory and doing stuff like that for right now in the promotion. Terry Funk got released from WWF, and we signed him and brought him in. He's on a pay-per-appearance. He is not exclusive to us, but we signed him, brought him in. He's doing his thing. We're having some fun with him. I'm trying to see who else. Perry Saturn got released from WCW, and I signed him and brought him back in. He has not made a debut yet, but he's going to. And of course, he's going to be right back tagging with John Cronus. They're going to have to put their personal differences aside and just deal with it, right? Trying to think who else here. Doink the Effing Clown is still with us. He's kind of running towards the end of his run here. We released some people. We released the excellent hand of Tommy Rogers. Just, there wasn't a place for him yet, and in real life they released him, so I released him. You know, just, I don't want to say a place for him yet. They're just, the guy's a good wrestler, but we're just kind of running out of use for him. So if he can pick up with other independents, that's great. We can always bring him back later. We still have Joe Malenko. I'm starting to use Joe Malenko more as a road agent, even though he puts on very good quality matches. So I'm trying to take a look here. There's been a lot of changes, no doubt about it. Masato Tanaka is still super strong, being managed by Gary Hart. I forgot to mention earlier that the Mass Superstar is also being managed by Gary Hart. And they have really good chemistry, and it's working out very well. Tommy Rich is gone. Sal E. Graziano is in. Tony Mamaluke is in. So the FBI now consists of Little Guido and Tony Mamaluke and Sal E. Graziano. Of course, Tracy Smothers had the split with them, so Tracy Smothers is wrestling members of the FBI on tour. Tracy Smothers did not have too much longer in ECW at this point, but I did sign him a little bit longer here because he is very serviceable in this save. He's a really good wrestler and puts up good numbers, and I like using him. So I don't know if I'll sign him again, but for right now, he's doing good work for us. Trying to see if anybody else we could take a look at the boring spreadsheet and see if anything catches our eye. Anybody new or gone? We've pretty much gone over all of that. We still have Bobby Duncombe Jr., even though at this time he was out of the promotion already. I think he was landing in WCW about this point. Some of you are probably wondering what I'm going to do with the World Junior Heavyweight title. Well, the reason I did that was I remember being a fan back in these glory years of ECW and saying, how do they not have a World Junior Heavyweight title? Like, they have all these small guys that are really good. And I was pretty surprised they never came up with the title. But then again, I'm not, because ECW, a cool part of ECW was there was limited belts. And limited belts make belts prestigious, make them really mean something. But I'm going to give the World Junior Heavyweight title thing a chance. If it doesn't work out, hey, it doesn't work out. No big deal. So that's about it for ECW. The tag team division is red hot. The Pitbulls are red hot. The Furnace and LaFon, the champions, are red hot. And now, of course, we have the Eliminators making a comeback. They're red hot. They will be red hot, especially coming back. So we have a lot of really cool stuff going on here in this save. This save has been a ton of fun. I sometimes get bored with saves, as I think we all do, and then we change things up and try something new. This one I'm not getting bored of yet. I'm having fun with it. We'll take a look at our touring schedule here. And you can see we're in the second week, getting ready to get into the second week of December. And this is what our touring schedule looks like. So you have Sandman and Bigelow headlining, Tanaka against Douglas headlining, Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk against Van Dam and Sabu. And of course, these things change. You changed up the card here, so when they're going in another town, you're not getting the exact same card. ECW, when you look back at their tours, the shows that they were doing, they were a mess. Like, they had matches all over the place that didn't make much sense. And, again, you had the internet around back then. You got the results of what was going on, but they definitely weren't being filmed. It was almost as if Heyman wasn't too concerned about what was going on the live events. We have Holiday Hell coming up tonight in the game, and that'll be our next video going over that show. We got a pretty solid card lined up for this one, but you can see these are, since I've started doing it this way, we're just doing 8 matches. This is just like a live, it's a live event is what it is. It's not a pay-per-view, so there's not going to be any promos. People are showing up to the ECW arena to watch a live event and have a good time. It just happens to be at the ECW arena, so we treat it as more prestigious and give the show a real name. Merchandise is doing great. We are making a ton of money. We're doing real well. Financially, I think we got about $6 million. We do. When the money gets up high enough, we're probably going to form our own broadcaster. That's probably going to be TNN. But that'll probably be another year or so in the game. We'll see. We'll see what I decide to do. But that's how we'll most likely fund it and do our thing like that. Let's take a look at creative. We constantly have wrestlers bouncing in and off on this list because their popularity keeps rising and falling. People have to lose matches. And in ECW, when that happens, you lose popularity. What are you going to do? Oh, we signed Stevie Richards. Forgot to mention that. Stevie Richards was available, so we picked him up. He has not made a TV debut yet. So here's our prospects, which is 90% of our roster. These guys are all young and great. Oh, I forgot to mention a really cool thing. I have Paul Heyman managing Furnace and LaFon. So Furnace and LaFon are really getting over now. And they're having great promos and great segments. So we just have a solid roster, an absolutely solid roster. I'll probably end up changing the product, or at least tweaking the product, because this type of product can't sustain forever. We're third in the world right now. Technically in the game, we continue gaining popularity, but it's going to be difficult to sustain this product. ECW is going to have to change, and probably had they started changing in real life, it might have helped them for the long term. But that's a conversation for another time. So that's going to do it, everybody, for this one. I think that shows where we're at, where we're going. We'll be back for that awesome show coming up tonight in the game, which of course once again is Holiday Hell. So it should be a pretty good one. And that's where the save's at, everybody. It's everything's going fantastic here at ECW. The save's on fire. I'm having a blast, and it's a lot of fun doing this. So, all right, that's going to do it for this one, everybody. For those of you that are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Drop us a message below and let us know what you think of the show. Let us know, too, how you found it. You know, curious about that, too. We continue to grow. Our Patreon is blowing up. More and more people, and I'm always curious to know, did you just find it on YouTube? Did somebody tell you about it? Let me know. Speaking of Patreon, head on over to patreon.com/PowerCast Network. There you can get the 1987 Supermod. You can get all of our spreadsheets, and there's so much more, everybody, with the shows early on and everything else. Check it out today, everybody. Patreon.com/PowerCast Network. You can go ahead and join that for the price of a cup of coffee and get all of that data that you're looking for. Last but not least, check us out on social media, everybody. Facebook.com/group/1987 Supermod. We always have good conversations over there and a lot of fun that goes with it. And of course, I just said last but not least, it wasn't last. Check out Wrestling Fans International Association, everybody. The WFIA.org. It's free to join. It'll get you a free digital subscription to our bi-monthly publication, Wrestling Fan News. Don't hesitate. The WFIA.org. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.